This is Roger Struckoff with Cloud Expo TV. We are at the second day of Cloud Expo in New York in November of 2018, and we're joined right now by Brent Schroeder of SUSE. And we're glad to have him. He spoke here yesterday, and he spoke about some of the past history of this great company, which has been a pioneer in many ways. But even more important than that, he spoke about what's going on right now. There's a lot of dynamic things going on as cloud continues to evolve, and SUSE is playing a role in that. Brent, thanks for joining us. What did you talk about yesterday, and what's the important stuff?
Yeah, yesterday we talked about the seamless edge to core to cloud computing model and how that's evolving and the technologies that are enabling that to be realized finally. And we've been talking about hybrid models, multi-cloud models, etc. for the past few years. And I think the technology is finally maturing to a point where businesses are really going to be able to put it into full action.
I'm a little confused about multi-cloud. A few years ago, I wrote that all the world's a hybrid because it seemed clear that not a lot of enterprises, with some exceptions, were going to go all in on something. Right. But what is this drive towards multi-cloud? Is it because of people don't want to put all their eggs in one basket, or there's sort of like different solutions for different ideas? I know that everyone in enterprise IT, whether you're a vendor or a buyer or a user, is living in that world now. But what is it that's driving that hybrid, but that multi-cloud movement?
Yeah, I think the real driver from a multi-cloud standpoint is, different applications have different needs, and different clouds provide different services and different capabilities. So it's really about taking advantage of the technology that aligns best with the application or business problem you're trying to solve, whether it's a geographical issue, whether it's a services issue, whether it's a cost issue. So there's many facets that go into that decision. And as the technology becomes more available to be able to manage multiple clouds, then that makes it more cost effective, more process aligned to be able to take advantage of those different technologies.
So where's the company right now? Maybe you can give our viewers an idea of really what's going on with this company, both for the younger people that may not be familiar with it, and for some of the older folks in the crowd like me that may be overly familiar with it, and maybe not realize what's really going on. So if you could just sort of give an overview of the company and what it's doing, and also some of the foundations and initiatives that you're participating in.
Absolutely. Well, to kind of first reset and start for those younger people that don't necessarily know the history, because I think the history is very relevant. And we were the original commercial distribution for an enterprise Linux, and so we've spent 25 plus years in building, distributing open source software and making it enterprise ready, if you will. Now, as the new compute models come into play, and the open source community, which is one of the key tenets of SUSE, is that we are all of our products are based on open source technology. And so as open source technology really becomes the innovation vehicle, the driver for digital transformation, we've expanded our portfolio beyond just Linux to the entire software-defined infrastructure layer, whether it's the cloud, the compute, storage, networking, and even private cloud, and the ability to manage that, and then also moving to the application delivery platform. The latest things going on in the area of containers and container management with Kubernetes, and now Cloud Foundry and being able to really manage the application delivery. So we're really excited, about the expanded portfolio and our ability to help our customers in that full digital transformation journey.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some people talking just this morning here about containers and maybe not specifically microservices, but what's going on. Now, you mentioned Edge. I talked a little bit yesterday where I was talking about, when you have the software-defined infrastructure, especially when it's distributed widely, you're getting so much data coming in from what a lot of people still call the edge. But in some ways, other people will say, well, it's really edge-less. I mean, and it's sort of important to envision what it is you're doing. What do you think of when you hear the term edge and when you think of mobility and all the data sources?
Yeah, when I think of edge and what I put in that edge category is when it really moves beyond, say, the walls and the control domain of the corporate data center. So edge, could be in kind of the broadest definition, even out in a retail type environment, and putting mini data centers and small data centers there and feeding that back. But then it can be extended even further, as we're looking at new models where compute needs to go almost to the device that's performing the function in gathering data, and that could be an autonomous vehicle. We're seeing prototypes and working with some of the vendors on autonomous vehicles, and essentially in the learning in an autonomous vehicle, you have a data center in the car. Of compute power that just a couple of decades ago would have been embodied in an entire data center. It's driving around our streets. So you can think about edge in many different factors and forms.
Yeah, the edge is moving in that case, literally, and form factors of data centers is a whole topic, to itself. I've been to conferences where we're talking about that and how you deal with all this. And what I'm thinking is, for this audience, how you focus that is, if you look at developers on one side, and then you look at operations on the other, and you look at the increasing cultures of DevOps, what is the message from your company to developers, to operators, and then to DevOps? What should they know about you, and how much of that this sort of really difficult donkey work are you doing for them?
Well, I think the first part, recognizing that SUSE is, expanding our effort in the developer community, and I think there's two major developments there, if you will. One is with our last release of SLES, or our latest release of SLES, we did something that was very new for SUSE, and we brought together, essentially now use our open SUSE release is the same as our enterprise SLES release. Historically, those have been really on two different paths and two different code bases, and now they're one. And really why we did that was to simplify the migration from a developer environment to a production environment. So we really want to enable the developers to adopt an enterprise class operating system distribution as the development environment, and then make that as easy as possible for the IT ops to evolve that to a supported, deployed version of our enterprise release, and the ability to move back and forth. So that's, I think, step one for the developers is SUSE getting in the game, from the developer community standpoint. Second is in the Cloud Foundry space, the ability for the developers to use Cloud Foundry, SUSE Cloud Foundry, as the delivery vehicle and the lifecycle management vehicle for their applications in both traditional developed applications as well as the new cloud native applications. So I think those are the two key messages.
You'll be at the Cloud Foundry Summit is coming up, I think, in April in Philadelphia. How do people find out more about what's going on? Website, events, other ways that they can find out what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is a great vehicle in that it has all the information on our portfolio. It also has information on the communities that we participate in. And I think it's important for people to realize and see what's going on in the community, but then use somebody like SUSE, partner with somebody like SUSE to deliver and deploy their open source projects. What I've typically find in talking with business leaders is they don't want to be in the open source business. They want to take advantage of the value proposition of the open source business, and SUSE is really a key partner to enable them to achieve that.
Yeah, I mentioned the other day that 10 years ago versus today, 10 years ago when we first launched Cloud Expo, and it was sort of free and open free open source software
Yeah.
days, FOSS days, and there's still an element of that. But now it's become, I think, much more serious, for lack of a better word, for enterprise IT. And this is one of the companies doing it. So, Brent, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. And for Cloud Expo TV, this is Roger Struckhoff.